Hello again, and today we have Rebel versus Imperial. Blair and myself will be running Chewbacca with Gunner, C-3PO and Millennium Falcon total, Biggs, Darklighter and Roark Garnet with Iron Cannon turret. Now I must apologise for my opponent, I didn't catch his name, hopefully I will next time, but he was running Rexel Braith with Veteran Instincts and Heavy Laser Cannon, Whisper with Veteran Instincts and the Advanced Cloaking Device, and Night Beast with Hull Upgrade. Interesting matchup, and here we go.
As per usual, we've set up our asteroids already and indeed set up initial placement. Now, even though Roark is moving first, I do have initiative as well, obviously with the 4-5-5 versus the 5-9-10 on the opposing side for the Imperials. And here we have obviously Roark just moving up, and then Biggs flying up in behind him in formation, and of course Chewy coming around the back as well. And obviously first set of manoeuvres relatively slow, obviously having to keep pace with Roark on this one with his maximum speed of 3 straight, that's white, but it's not too bad, it just gives me a bit more options with regards to where to move depending on where all the other ships, all the opposing ships end up. So there we have Night Beast flying up behind the asteroid there, and Whisper obviously starting without a cloak token, but she'll do a straight 4, I do believe is the manoeuvre that ended up getting chosen. And indeed, there it is. Just obviously setting up the first manoeuvre and taking the cloak action, as is fairly standard for Whisper or Eco these days. It's just 4 straight forward followed by a cloaking action. And then once he's got the cloaking action there, then obviously Rex, PS10 Rex will be flying in last position, or last to move, first to shoot, as it is. And we're just discussing the finer points of how Night Beast works with regards to obviously if you perform a green manoeuvre whilst having stress, you don't get the free focus action. So we're moving on to the next set of manoeuvres. We've got Roark obviously going to be shooting this turn, so Roark just performing a nice gentle 2-bank. Obviously the intention of owning one or the other of Night Beast or Rexler, hopefully. So just taking a focus there for the action, and then moving Chewy afterwards. Just a nice gentle 3-bank. So it's a bit of a worry when you're performing a 2-bank and a 3-bank with a big and a small ship, but manages to make it around quite happily. And just got to focus for the turn. And then Biggs, he's just going to fly slow rolling a little bit in the back there, so just a 1-bank for him. Just trying to keep range obviously, whilst at the same time staying within range 1 of Chewbacca and Roark, and obviously just taking a focus section there. So the Imperials now move on, so we have Night Beast just doing a straight 3, I believe it was, so he will get his free focus action and then obviously take his evade for his regular action for the turn. And just turning over Rexler's dial there, but I do inform him that Whisper needs to move before Rex does. Yep, there we go. So just choosing to decloak with Whisper. And just doing a straight 2 forward for the decloak, followed by her manoeuvre, which was a 3-turn, I do believe. But no, it's a 3 bank, but unfortunately for the Imperial side, it's not going to be close enough, so just choosing to recloak this turn, so I get a turn without getting shot at by the Phantom, which is most helpful. And then we have Rex, who was a bit worried he was going to bump, but 3 straight from Night Beast was just fair enough for Rex to fit snugly in behind him and take his focus for the turn. Just confirming that Chewbacca was within range one of Biggs, so everyone has to shoot at Biggs. Though obviously with Rex's heavy laser cannon, it can be awfully perilous for Biggs. So obviously Rex will be firing first with the 4 dice versus 2 dice. And just seeing obviously would rather be shooting at Chewy at the stage, but obviously that's what he does now. Just obviously Roark is going to activate and just deciding who to shoot at. Obviously we've got Night Beast with the tokens, and I want to try and strip the tokens away so that Roark can get an ion cannon on him hopefully. So we've got 3 damage there, spending the focus just to kick the 3 damage in, and indeed forcing the focus and evade token to be used, but in doing so what it does is trigger Gunner, so Chewy gets to have another crack, and landing 2 hits, but fortunately for Night Beast, rolling 2 naked evades, so managing to dodge all the damage there from Chewy, unfortunately for me. So here we have Rex Slip, he'll be firing his heavy laser cannon at Biggs with 4 dice. Just spending the focus there, so, and turning the 2 criticals back into hits, so 3 damage, and just spending the focus there just to take 2 damage on Biggs, so I believe that removes both of his shields for that one, so not ideal. And here we have Biggs firing at Night Beast, and no damage, unfortunately. And looks like accidentally shot with Roark early on that one. Oh, sorry, no, I must have shot with Roark first, which was again well out of sequence. And then Biggs shooting at Night Beast and scoring a couple of damage. So obviously Night Beast should have shot before Roark. But anyway, so we're just double checking that Night Beast has arc on Biggs, and he does. So Night Beast living up to his name, rolling a hit and a crit. And unfortunately for Biggs, rolling absolutely nothing. So the damage gets dealt, and then the critical damage was in fact a double damage direct hit. So Biggs, unfortunately, is out of the game. So obviously really bad opening there. Obviously only getting 2 hits on Night Beast, but losing Biggs altogether. So see if we can pull ourselves out of this one. So here we have Roark pulling around, somewhat on blocking duty, obviously trying to get some bumps in to deny action so that Chewy might be able to put the hurt on someone. So just flying in there, taking the focus, and then we'll have Chewy just doing a 1 tight in behind Roark and just snugly fitting in there. And well, obviously just one of the many times where Chewbacca will be spending off of his tail this game. Unfortunately, an awful lot of times ships get to bump into Chewy, so we'll just take a focus there, and then we'll have Night Beast perform his action. Oh, sorry, his manoeuvre. And I'm not quite sure what the plan was. I think he was turning in towards Chewbacca on that one, so unfortunately for Night Beast, he just is going to bump into Roark there. So not ideal, but indeed still has a shot on Chewbacca. So hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt us. And then we have Whisper decloaking forward, and obviously just trying to get positioning right to try and get a good shot on Chewy or Roark. And then we have a nice short one turn right to line everyone up on that one, and obviously Whisper will just take the focus as her action. And then we have obviously Rexler. He was planning to do a 4K, but clearly was not going to make it, so bumps into Chewbacca, but unfortunately for poor old Roark is right in range 1 of Rexler there, and probably range 1 on end or 2 of Whisper, so it's going to be 8 attack minimum coming into Roark this turn. But obviously we'll use Roark's special ability to give Chewy PS PS 12, and obviously having to taking the shot at Whisper at range 2 at this stage. Obviously Whisper only having 2 agility dice, so obviously it's the ideal time to make the most of it. So I think only scoring 1 hit there, but forcing Whisper to spend her token, and then obviously Gunner kicking in, so rolling 2 more hits, and I think just rolling 1 dodge there. So Chewy managing to hit 1 shield from Whisper, but obviously it's going to take a long time to eat away at Whisper's hull, but going to start somewhere. So yeah, we have some return fire, obviously we'll have Rexler rolling 4 dice at Roark. Seeing whether Roark can withstand the firepower from Rex. And just rolling an awful lot of damage there. I think it was in fact 3 or 4 damage. 3 damage there, yep. So taking an awful lot of damage unfortunately on that one. And then obviously we've got Whisper to shoot as well with 4 dice. I think we're just checking it's just out of range 1s, but it is still 4 dice. And Whisper, being the elite pilot that she is, manages to roll 3 criticals and a hit. So regardless of what Roark is going to roll, he will just be dead. So there we go, taking 3 criticals for Roark, which is pretty bad. And exiting the game, didn't even get to spend his focus token. So down to Chewy taking on the rest of the Imperial fleet. So we'll see how he goes. Obviously Whisper just taking the focus here, and then we'll have Night Beast just double checking that he's actually got arc on Chewy, which he does. So have Night Beast throw some damage, so a couple of hits. So I think at this point just name C-3PO starts to do his work his magic, and so he gets me a free dodge. So that's the first free dodge for C-3PO. So here we have Chewy, not really anywhere to go, but can perform a nice 1 straight manoeuvre just to sort of try and gum up the board. Hopefully I can minimise the number of people shooting at me this turn, whilst managing to get some shots on a couple of his ships. So we have Night Beast just doing a 1 forward and barely going anywhere, just bumping into the back of Chewy there. So it's 1 ship down that won't be shooting at Chewy this turn. And then we have Eco trying to decloak. The decloaking options are relatively limited. Probably can't decloak very well. Definitely can't decloak to the front. I think the asteroid might have been in the way with regards to decloaking to the left, so in the end it decides to decloak to the right. After just double checking his dial there. But unfortunately for Whisper, when revealing the dial and doing a gentle 2 bank, and unfortunately for Whisper, we'll be bumping into Chewy, but in doing so we'll also end up parking on an asteroid, I believe, which is never a good place for a Phantom to be. The only saving grace obviously being that by bumping into Chewy won't be able to shoot at the Phantom this turn. So parking on an asteroid and bumping into Chewy. So no shooting for Whisper this turn, obviously, and indeed that was a damage roll for Whisper, so that will be her other shield gone. So that's 2 out of 3 ships that won't be shooting at Chewy this turn. So Chewy seems to have flown pretty well this turn. And here we have Rex doing the defender's signature move, the 4 white K. Nice and snug in behind Chewy there. And taking a focus. Obviously Rex taking a focus is always his ideal play, considering his special ability. So here we have, and I do believe that Chewbacca took an evade token on his action. So here we have Rex with the UV laser cannon, and he rolls, I believe it was just 1 damage. He did roll an eyeball but decided to not spend it, the focus, and obviously I just used the evade token there just to dodge, and obviously saving his because it's range 1, so Chewbacca getting 4 dice to attack with and rolling 3 hits, and obviously Rex rolling just the 1 eyeball, so ended up taking 2 hits on that one, I believe. So we have back to manoeuvres. More tight flying from Chewbacca, obviously with Whisper facing the other direction and not being able to decloak this turn because she didn't get to shoot and recloak. It's a much better maneuver to try and get around and behind Whisper, but obviously the maneuver not quite making it, so just a little bit of debate here as to how far Chewy manages to make the turn. So it's definitely bumping into Whisper, just trying to figure out exactly. It's always hard when the 1 turn template fits well and truly underneath the base, so trying to figure out exactly the track path of that is very hard. Obviously on Vasil it makes it a bit easier for you, but this is real life. So obviously Chewy bumping, so no action for him this turn. And then we'll have Night Beast just performing a neat 1 turn, so Night Beast managing to just avoid crashing into Chewy there, so just not bumping at all, just a nice snug fit. So I believe that Night Beast does end up indeed taking a focus token as his action, just reminding him to pop his token down. And then unfortunately for Whisper, more unfortunate flying, performing a 1 turn, and indeed for Whisper being into the back of Night Beast, and for worse is yet to come, because Whisper, though she's not touching Chewy anymore, doesn't have a shot on Chewy, so will be at range 1 of Chewy without a shot, so not being able to trigger the advanced cloaking device. So and, just to make it a nice clean bump, we've got Rexler doing a 1 bank there, crashing into to the back of Whisper. So not a lot of actions this turn, but yeah. So we will have obviously Rex will be shooting first with his heavy laser cannon, although I think it's probably range 1, so he gets to keep any crits that he manages to roll. Of course, shooting at Chewy doesn't really matter in that regard. So just rolling the 3 hits, and with C-3PO just naming 0 and rolling a blank, so that's the second time C-3PO's come through and saved damage. And then we have the Chewbacca with at range 1 of Echo, rolling 4 damage, and with Echo indeed rolling 2 2 evades, but unfortunately for Echo, that it was still enough to kill her. So Chewy manages to take one down. I'm just checking to see whether Chewy can go back on his base, but unfortunately he's still too big and too close to everyone else, so he'll just stay off for a turn or two. And obviously we'll have Night Beast have another crack at Chewy, just rolling a couple of damage and rolling another blank, so 2 damage to Chewy. So Chewy taking the hits like he does, and but obviously the opposing team having lost the Phantom, and obviously you might be still only on 2 health with that extra hull upgrade. So there we had Chewy just banking around the corner, just taking his evade token, and finally managing to get back on top of his base. And we have Night Beast. Wasn't quite sure where Chewy was going to go. He had a couple of options, so trying to cover his bases here, but unfortunately Night Beast sort of flying off into the distance. Now obviously getting a green maneuver, so getting a free focus and taking evade as his action. Night Beast, the old poor man's pushed the limit, and unfortunately for Rexler, he was anticipating Chewy flying in the other direction as well, so rather than doing a 4K, just doing the 1 bank, and indeed not having a shot this turn, so just obviously going to take focus as his action, just to try and avoid getting shot up too badly. So here we have just double checking range between Chewy and Rexler. And I thought that it was range 2, but just putting the ruler in there and it's still overlapping Chewy's base, so I was determined that was going to be range 1. So Chewbacca at range 1 with the 4 dice against Rexler. So just rolling 3 hits there. And then Rex, I think he managed to roll 2 evades, so still only took 1 damage. So Rex is down to his 3 hull, with Night Beast with his 2 hull left, including his hull upgrade. I believe Chewy is either down or just about out of shields, so it's still going to be a close one. So we have Night Beast performing his 3K very close to the edge of the board, but manages to stay on the board. Obviously trying to get back in the fight and take a stress token for his troubles. And obviously Chewy moved and took an evade token, as he does when he's all by himself. So here we have Rex again doing the defender's signature 4K and taking focus as well. And just there is an asteroid hiding behind Chewy there, and just trying to determine whether or not it was an obstructed attack. In the end we determined that it was not in fact obstructed, so obviously Rex with his heavy laser cannon against Chewy, so that's 4 more attacks that he's going to be targeting Chewbacca with. So he rolls his attacks and just kicking over 1 critical into a regular there. Just deciding whether he wants to spend his focus, so he decides not to in the end, and indeed I spend my evade and my my C-3PO. He does his work again, so there's a 3rd damage saved by C-3PO for the game. So unfortunately for Rexler, not managing to activate his special ability, and unfortunately for Night Beasts, the roller just slopping onto the tabletop there, so no range 3 shot for Night Beast. So here we have Chewy firing back at Rexler, and Gunner triggering and scoring a couple of hits, and thankfully for Rexler, managing to spend the focus and evade all the damage. So back to the next dials. Not quite sure if this was the right play. We've got Chewy turning back into the fray. possibly could have ran a little bit. Obviously, would have had the defender chase and probably have range, but Night Beast probably wouldn't have been able to do a green manoeuvre and be within range. But as the case may be, he ended up flying back into combat. So obviously, Night Beast just taking focus for his action, and Chewy obviously his stock standards evade as his action, and then here we have Rexler just doing a 2 straight and just trying to, I think, snugly getting into range 1 possibly, and indeed takes a focus for his action as well. So Rex will be firing very, very shortly, and just having a few additional discussions, but grab some extra dice there. So 4 dice against Chewy. So just the 2 hits there. So obviously naming 0, rolling a blank in the dodge. So C3PO giving me my 4th evade for the game. And then we'll have some return fire. So just checking range. So just trying to shoot at Night Beast, trying to get him off the board. But so rolling 2 damage and just deciding to spend the focus token there to avoid the damage. But obviously in doing so, he triggers Gunner. So blank into eyeball. So Night Beast gets to live once again, and indeed he gets to throw some attack dice back at Chewy, and managing to score 2 hits. So another 2 damage to Chewy, and there we go. So first hull damage for Chewy. So just taking 2 hits. And here we have Chewy pushing as much as he possibly can, trying to do a 3 bank and get in behind Rexler, but unfortunately not quite managing to make it. So he will be bumping back into Rexler, and indeed vacating his template for the turn, or at least until Rex moves on, and obviously bumping and skipping his action. So no evade action for Chewy this turn. And then we'll have Night Beast perform his manoeuvre. And just doing a tight one, but I do believe that even though it was a tight one, he still manages to bump into Chewy. So once again, reducing the number of shots being fired at Chewbacca. So Night Beast won't be attacking this turn. And then here we have once again signature move from the defender. So just performing 4K, lining up a nice range 1 shot. Although obviously in this instance range 1's not ideal for Rexler because he's getting 4 dice either way, whereas it gives Chewy 4 dice at range 1 as well. So Rex will take a focus as his action, and he'll roll 4 dice against Chewbacca, and deciding to spend the focus and rolling 4 damage. Now, in this particular instance, the difference between 3 and 4 damage was relatively small, so I did actually name 1 with C3PO and did in fact roll nothing. So there was 4 whole damage that Chewbacca incurred there. So that's a massive change in the game. But here we have Chewy returning fire, so scoring 2 hits on Rex, and Rex taking 2 damage there. Not obviously he spent his focus, and indeed one of them was a critical. It was the minor hull breach, which means he rolled an extra damage dice, and he did actually roll the damage. So Chewy managing to finish off Rex. So in the span of 30 seconds, it went from Chewy being in the back foot to now Chewy being on the front foot. Obviously, with Chewbacca's with C-3PO in the Millennium Falcon title, it becomes almost impossible for a TIE fighter to deal lethal damage. So obviously we've got 2 hull points left on Chewy and 2 hull points left on Night Beast, and then we have Night Beast performing a 3k and will be out of range 1. So unfortunately for Night Beast, regardless of whatever he rolls, he'll be rolling no hits. So there we have Chewy rolling 2 damage, and I believe just end up taking 1 hit. So we've got Night Beast down to his last hull point, and just explaining there that regardless of whatever he rolls, it isn't going to matter. So he rolls a couple of damage, and I name 0, I'll use my evade token, and C-3PO rolls me another damage. So 5 damage evaded from C-3PO this game. So here we have Chewy making his final manoeuvres,
and here we have Night Beast obviously doing a 3 straight, trying to get into range 1 to make the difference into making sure that he manages to squeeze through damage. So obviously just taking a did actually take a focus for his action, just didn't throw the token down. So here we have Chewy at range 1 rolling 3 damage, and here we go, just putting the token down, and just rolling 3 blanks, but obviously with simultaneous fire we have Night Beast throwing back, so indeed throwing 3 damage, and obviously having taken the evade, managing to name 0, and indeed rolling a blank, so that would be the 6th damage that C-3PO has evaded for me, and indeed taking the victory. So obviously lost Biggs and Roark early, but Chewy and, as I said, massive assistance from C-3PO and Gunner. C-3PO managing to buy me 6 hull points, so quite interesting that today was the same day there was a large discussion on the FFG forums. Clearly C-3PO in this game made a huge difference, but that's how it works sometimes. Thanks for watching.